Good day. This is Tim Phillips with Sunlit Motivational, and I'm going to talk about how I quit smoking 3 packs a day. So let's get right into this. Now, I'm going to kind of preface this. What's interesting about addictions, and this was definitely addiction for me. You don't just go out and smoke 3 packs. You got to set a goal to do 3 packs. I mean, you got to start in the morning, afternoon, and night. Go have the lighters lined up. Being a little silly, but what's interesting about addictions is there's always an underlying fuel to that flame. So you could take the addiction out and another one would fit back in if that underlying flame is not addressed. So we'll see what my flame was by the end of all this. But first of all, yeah, I smoked up to 3 packs a day for about 18 years. It was 2 packs in the beginning, and then you switch to lights, and well, you got to go to a bigger pack, and it was about 2 to 3 packs a day. That was a rough thing. And in the beginning, I wasn't addicted. It was just, you smoke with your friends and you have a lot of fun that way. And then later on, you smoke by yourself. And then you make excuses of why you should smoke. And when I do talk about addictions, the one interesting thing that pops up is, why don't you just substitute it? And at that time, my mom would suggest just suck on a cinnamon stick or distract yourself with gum or other things. But that's not what an addiction does for people. When I smoked, it wasn't to feel better. It was just to kind of catch up with the world so I can function. I equate it to a time in my life when I was a younger kid, and to be in the in club, you had to swim back and forth in the swimming pool without touching the bottom or coming up for air. You just go foom, foom, and then you do it. You're in the club, your rite of passage is there. And you could do it at 7, or you could do it at 70, but when you do it, you get the applause and, of course, that Parkside badge of honor. And I know I tried it, and I can only do about 1 1/4 is probably as best I can do. And that's pretty good still for a kid, but it wasn't one. It was 1 1/4. And then I practiced holding my breath while I was in school. And when I'm at church, I remember, the pastor is up there and he's like, okay, let's talk about something. And I was timing myself. And I stretched it out almost 2 minutes. And here, once again, get in the water, 1 1/2. And it was 1 1/2 for a very long time. But one spry day, maybe I ate my spinach or something. And I did the exercise with 1 1/2, and I still had some life left. I made it to 1 3/4. We're getting close here. 1 3/4 became 1 8/10. When I got to 9/10, I was totally out of air. But you don't give up when you're that close. And sure enough, I touched the side of the pool, and I went to go grab my reward. At that time was just a good clean breath of air and a big smile. And as I pushed myself up over the water, my older brother, 6 years my senior, pushed me back down. Now, all I could say is, in that time frame, I became like Incredible Hulkish Timmy, and I pushed and prodded and so forth because I needed to get that grasp of air. Oh, and finally let me up in a giggle and a snort, and I go, bah! Then here's the question. What did that first breath of air make me feel like? And if I was in a group, I kind of go around it and they give a little bit of answers. But the correct answer is that first breath of air was not relief or awesome. It allowed me to feel normal. The most important thing in my life was no longer in my head. I got my air. And if I stayed away from cigarettes too long, that same desperation would fill me until I got my little fix. And at that time, I needed a few fixes, just because I didn't want to deal with that noise in my head. And, I tried quitting a few times. In fact, one time, I like saying it this way because I did quit. The longest I've quit by myself by muscling it out was 4 months. And you think, well, if you quit for 4 months, it's probably the underlying pinning was still in my heart. I was just a smoker who wasn't smoking. And you know how I can tell? Because I'll be at the stoplight, going to work, and a guy 2 cars down from me would light up. I smelled it. and you could feel those urges come by. And I kind of sabotaged myself. I didn't have any smokes or anything around me, but I was just a smoker that wasn't smoking. Now, let's flash forward a little bit, or let's apply some principles. I teach a course called Goal Setting. And one of the principles is something I call a foundation of thoughts. And I applied that principle towards my addiction, my smoking situation. Like I said, this kind of works for me. If you're in addiction, I highly recommend find someone smarter, stronger than you to help you get over it. And it may not necessarily be a spouse or a family member. It's someone who knows how to get you through that. But anyway, in my foundation of thoughts principle, what I talk about is you visualize where you want to be. And I wanted to be not a non-smoker, but literally smoke-free. I want to be in a position where I can choose freely to have a cigarette or not. And most likely, because it costs money and some of the social aspects of smoking, I probably would choose not to. But I wasn't there yet. And so I wrote on my cards, what's the great results of being smoke-free? Well, I want to have some money. At that time, I was spending close to, 3 packs a day, about $100 a week in cigarettes, give or take. That would be equivalent to $300 a week right now. Ooh, you can almost hear everyone leaning closer to their monitors. But it was about $300 a week. And by the way, I had the money. If you have the money, that's not a problem with addiction. That's an additional problem if you don't. But I write down, what do I do with the extra money? What do I do about the new systems in my life? I had smelling salts all over the place. I could smell at least normal. You go through 2 packs, 3 packs a day, you smell different. I talk about how free I would be. My intimates with my wife at the time would be fantastic. And really the most important, and I'll share with you, is there's a commandment that says, thou shalt not have any God before me. And I realized when I was worshiping, that noise would hit my head and I'd break out of worship to go to my second God. That one really bothered me, to be out of that control. Like, we're going to do this. And he said he could say anything in my name and it shall be done. I've been saying things in his name, and maybe I forgot his name. I don't know. So anyway, here I am. And there's some irony in this. Here I'm smoking, and every time I smoked, I would go through my cards. I had about 10 cards written up. And you'd think that'd be counterproductive. You're smoking while thinking about being smoke-free. If you visualize this whole smoke-free, all the cards, you visualize it, and you get bored visualizing it. Visualize it with different colors and from standing in a different place. Or if you get bored standing in a different place, pretend like you're on the moon and you're smoking. I mean, this is the whole point, is to review this into your heart. I teach 3 to 5 times a day. If you're smoking 40 to 60 times a day, how many times was I pushing this into my head? Smoke-free. What we can do, smoke-free, what we can do. 2 months into this thing, and I felt like I could, hey, maybe I am smoke-free. And I quit on a Friday. It was April 3rd, 2009, if you want to age me, date me, or whatever you want to do. I put down my cigarette. Okay. First day, no big deal. Second day, the earth's still spinning. People asking me rough questions like, how am I doing? And the third day came around. I was at church. I came home. I broke down. The noise was so loud. I just went upstairs. I got in the house, went upstairs, was by myself, and I went to the shower and I says, Lord, I need you. Where are you? I don't want to smoke. And the voice that came back. Now, let me be straight here. I don't believe people hear voices, God's voice, everywhere they go. They get feelings, they get intuition, they get situations where they must guide themselves. God is in the shaping business, not in the dictating business. But he talked, and he says, what makes you think I've left you? That's an interesting response. And I walked out of the shower smoke-free. Wow, is that exciting? Terrifying. It took me 4 months before I even told someone what happened, because I could walk into a bar. I can go to my friend's place. All my friends smoked. And it's like, oh, no, I just had some. I'm okay right now. But for 4 months, I kept thinking, of all things that the creator of the universe can tell me, what makes you think I've left you? See, I could teach on the passages that we are not forsaken. I could teach about the rainbow that Noah saw, that God gave Noah. And yet, here God's telling me, what makes you think I've left you? In a few months, this kept me in my smoking prison. On earth, my Father, greatest worker in the world, you want something done, you go to him, greatest charmer. But fatherhood wasn't his natural state, so to speak. And he would be very conditional on his love. Did you perform today? I might love you tomorrow because today's out. Or he would disappear for a while. Long months. And then he'd come back. My father's back. And I took my earthly father and I projected his faults, his greatness and faults and skills to my heavenly Father. And that's not who he is. He is always here. He is always watching. He's at the ready. He's in the shaping. The deal is he'll do it for me, and my job is to tell everyone how he has done it. Hopefully I accomplished that with this video. But my question for everyone else and myself, what else could I be using on my earthly father and wrongfully projecting it to God? That's another little journey I got to make. See, I smoked for 18 years, and I learned one lesson at the end of it. I am not forsaken. That was worth 18 years at $100 a week. God bless you all. My hope for you is that, I don't even have a hope for this one. I think you got the message. Be a blessing. Talk to you soon.